Imagine a place. You are high in the hills of Tuscany, surrounded by the sweet scent of chestnuts and the ancient stone of medieval walls. You hear the gentle chime of a church bell. This is Italy, right? Of course it is. But then, you turn a corner. You see a bright red British telephone box standing proudly in the sun. You hear a snippet of conversation, and the accent sounds more like Glasgow than Garfagnana. You have arrived in Barga, a town with a fascinating secret. It is known, with a great deal of affection and a little bit of wonder, as the most Scottish town in all of Italy. A place where two very different worlds have come together in the most delicious and surprising way. This isn't just a quirky nickname or a tourist gimmick. The connection runs deep, woven into the very fabric of the community. It is estimated that a staggering 60% of Barga's population, around 9,000 people, can trace their roots back to Scotland. They are the children and grandchildren of the Barghese, the locals who left these hills generations ago. They went seeking a different life, but they never forgot where they came from. And when they returned, they brought a piece of Scotland back with them, creating a cultural blend that is utterly unique. It's a story of hardship, hope, and the enduring power of family. Walking through Barga is like stepping into two countries at once. The architecture is pure Tuscany. You see narrow, winding streets, terracotta roofs, and grand palazzos that speak of a time when Barga was a wealthy and powerful town under the protection of Florence. You can visit the magnificent Duomo, the Cathedral of San Cristoforo, which has watched over this valley for 1,000 years. Its ancient limestone walls hold stories of pilgrims and merchants. But then you look closer. You might spot a Scottish saltire flag hanging from a window, a subtle nod to that other home across the sea. This dual identity is what makes Barga so special. It's not simply an Italian town with a few Scottish decorations. It is a living, breathing testament to the journeys of its people. The story of Barga is a story of migration, but it is also a story of return. It shows how people can leave a place, adopt new traditions, and then bring those traditions home to create something entirely new. It's a place where you can eat pasta for lunch and have fish and chips for dinner, and it all feels perfectly natural. It's a beautiful confusion, a delightful mix-up of cultures that somehow makes perfect sense. So, how did this incredible connection begin? To understand it, we have to go back to the late 19th century. Italy had just been unified into a single country in 1861. For a place like Barga, which had long enjoyed special privileges and independence under Florence's rule, this was not good news. The new political landscape brought economic decline. Suddenly the old ways of life were no longer sustainable. The silk and chestnut industries faltered, and for many young people in the Circio Valley, the future looked bleak. They needed to find work, and that meant they needed to leave. Many had their sights set on America, the fabled land of opportunity. They packed their few belongings and began the long journey. However, fate had other plans. A significant number of these migrants found their journey interrupted in Scotland. They discovered that jobs were plentiful on the west coast, particularly around Glasgow. The booming shipyards on the River Clyde, the steel mills, and the forestry industry all needed strong, willing workers. So, instead of crossing the Atlantic, many Barghese decided to build their new lives right there, swapping the Tuscan sun for the Scottish mist. They worked hard, saved money, and established tight-knit communities. They opened cafes, ice cream parlours, and fish and chip shops, businesses that would become iconic parts of Scottish life. They became part of the fabric of cities like Glasgow and towns along the coast. But even as they settled and raised families, they held on to their Italian identity. They spoke their language, cooked their food, and dreamed of the day they might return to the mountains and valleys of home. They were Italians in Scotland, creating a little piece of the Garfagnana in their new country. Eventually, that dream of returning came true for many. After years or even decades of hard work, they had saved enough money to come back to Barga. They returned not just with wealth, but with new experiences, new tastes, and even new accents. Their children, who had been born and raised in Scotland, often came with them. These returning families, now infused with Scottish culture, began to reshape their hometown. They didn't just bring back money, they brought back a piece of their adopted homeland, and Barga would never be the same again. Today, that Scottish influence is everywhere in Barga, and it is most joyfully celebrated through food and festivals. The most famous example is the Sagra del Pesce Patate. For 2 weeks every August, the town's sports field transforms into a massive open-air fish and chip shop. The smell of frying potatoes and perfectly battered fish fills the air. Locals and tourists line up to get a classic fish supper, served simply on paper and often enjoyed with a glass of local Chianti. It's a surreal and wonderful sight, a perfect symbol of Barga's dual heritage, bringing a British seaside staple to the heart of the Tuscan mountains. The culinary crossover doesn't stop there. Many local restaurants, like the wonderful Giro di Boa, keep fish and chips on their menu all year round. It's as common to see as a plate of tagliatelle. The town also embraces more uniquely Scottish celebrations. Every January 25th, you will find people gathering to celebrate Burns Night, an evening dedicated to Scotland's national poet, Robert Burns. They address the haggis with the traditional poem, listen to bagpipes, and toast with a dram of whiskey. It is a heartfelt tribute, a way for the community to honour the Scottish side of its identity with genuine passion. The Scottish connection even extends to the local football pitch. Barga's amateur football team is called the Gati Randagi, which translates to the Stray Cats. When they play, they proudly wear green and white hoops, the very same colours as Glasgow's famous Celtic football club. This is no coincidence. It is a direct homage to the city where so many of their ancestors first found a home and a community. It's a powerful symbol of solidarity, linking the passions of a small Tuscan town with those of a major Scottish city, all through the beautiful game. Beyond the food and football, the culture seeps into daily life. You hear it in the language, as older residents switch between their local Italian dialect and a Glaswegian-inflected English. You see it in the art of the late Scottish painter John Bellamy, who had a home here and whose vibrant works are now displayed in a town gallery. The town is even officially twinned with several Scottish communities, including Prestonpans and Kirkensee. Barga doesn't just tolerate its Scottish side, it celebrates it with open arms, making it an essential part of what it means to be from this unique and special place. What truly defines Barga is this beautiful, seamless blend of two distinct identities. It is a town that has managed to hold on to its ancient Italian soul while wholeheartedly embracing a Scottish heart. This is perfectly captured in the town's official tartan. Yes, Barga has its own tartan, registered in Scotland. Its colours are not the traditional blues and greens of a Highland clan, but green, white and red. It is the Italian flag, the tricolore, woven into the most iconic of Scottish patterns. There could be no better symbol for the story of this town. A perfect marriage of two cultures in a single piece of cloth. This fusion is not just a historical footnote, it is the lived reality of the people here. You can see it in families like the Orsuccis, who run the Giro di Boa restaurant. Riccardo is from Barga, and his wife Adele is from Glasgow. They met at a social club for Italians in Scotland and eventually returned to Barga to build a life together. Their restaurant serves both Sicilian seafood and classic fish and chips. Their story is Barga's story in miniature, a tale of movement, connection, and the creation of a shared identity that honors both the past and the present, the homeland and the adopted home. This unique cultural mix is what draws people to Barga. It is not just another beautiful Tuscan hilltop town, it has a story that sets it apart. It's a place of surprising connections and deep-rooted traditions from two different corners of Europe. Visitors come for the stunning views of the Circio Valley and the ancient charm of the old town, but they stay for the warmth of its people and the fascination of its story. It's a town where you can feel the weight of 1,000 years of Italian history and at the same time, the lively spirit of modern Scotland. In the end, Barga is a lesson in what it means to belong. It shows us that home is not just one place. It can be the land of your ancestors and the land that gave you a new beginning. The Bargese, who travelled to Scotland and back, created something extraordinary. They built a bridge between two worlds, and that bridge is now the foundation of their town's unique character. Barga is a testament to the resilience of migrants, and the beautiful things that can happen when different cultures don't just coexist, but come together to create something richer and more wonderful than either one was alone.